Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 118th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. The Oscars are over, and as promised, I'm back to reviews. Today, I'm doing a request from a great subscriber, my man Marlon Bellamy. I'm telling you, the hood movies from the 90s are some of the best ever. Of course, we all love Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, Friday, and Juice, but there are some more underrated ones that slap too. Last year, I did a 20 best hood movies of all time, and this movie came in at number 20. And honestly, looking back, I'd probably move it up to 17. I'll link that below if you're interested. Today, we were talking about New Jersey Drive, 1995, directed by Nick Gomez, starring Sharon Corley and Gabriel Cassius. Guys, do me a favor, like and subscribe. So let's get into it. Marlon, thanks for requesting this because this is a movie that holds a special place in my heart. Being a kid born in the 90s, nothing warms my heart more than a good East Coast 90s hood movie about friendship, crime, adolescence, police brutality, and lessons. New Jersey Drive is a movie I grew up with. Watching it with my uncle and his friends when I was a kid and they were in high school, they thought they were like these dudes. I watched a lot of hood classics with these guys and they taught me a lot. Explained to me what certain things were, and I was too young to be watching some of this stuff, but those moments shaped me, some of the best of my life. Me sitting on the floor in front of the TV and those dudes being all loud and rowdy on the couches. This movie was a staple in Grandma's house. In 1995, this movie lived in the shadows of a few that came out before it, and Friday came out that same year. But New Jersey Drive has this intimate feel that some of the others lacked, even if it's not as good as those movies. So what's this movie about? Jason and Midget live in Newark, I believe. Them and their friends literally run around all day, stealing cars, joyriding, and selling them for some quick money. I mean, seemingly every car in this movie is stolen. You see these kids stealing cars and just being dumb. But they look like they are having so much fun. Rolling around, banging music, talking about life, getting high. All the dumb stuff I used to do with the homies in high school. I mean, we ain't steal the cars, but we did all the other stuff. You got all the different personalities in the characters. Midget, the rowdy and confident but smart leader. Jason, the best friend who is kind of quiet but is smarter than he lets on. And the one who likely will get out of the hood if he can change his ways. Richie, the funny guy that never knows when to shut up. And Peanut, the stoner guy that everyone loves. He's played by Donald Faison. You see these guys having the time of their lives, living free, being young, and acting a fool. Growing up in the hood in the 90s trying to avoid the cops and just make it to the next day. I envy people who were teenagers in the 90s. It truly looks like the best time to be alive. Even if you were in the hood, there was just a vibe that cannot be recaptured. I mean, the clothes, the music, the movies, the hairstyles, everything looked fun, except the crime and the violence. Crimes from the cops, crimes against each other, it was all bad. I mean, all this stuff still goes on now, but changes are being made. Maybe not fast enough, but times are better for young black men in America. But remember, folks, this wasn't that long ago. People are walking around today with stories on stories about police brutality, black on black crime, drug and gang violence. I mean, the whole nine. The 90s had an attitude about it that was just raw and rugged, especially on the East Coast. People weren't using the internet. The world wasn't so sensitive, and people didn't care about the stupid things we all seem to care about now. These people actually hung out in person, not playing video games and talking on a headset. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I miss the times where people made plans and kept them, or when everybody would just meet at the spot and chill. You get all that in this movie. These friends hang tough, and things feel fun and sunny, even in these cold and gray New Jersey streets. One thing I think Gomez did well was capture this city the way I think it's supposed to look, dark and gray. Even when it's sunny, it still feels gray and cold. Carhartt coats, baggy jeans, and Timbs were the uniform. And despite clearly everyone around having no money, everyone seems to be enjoying life and making the best of it. Because that's what you do in the hood. You survive, and that's what these kids are trying to do. They all steal cars for different reasons. Some need the money to take care of home, some just love the thrill of the ride. But no matter the reason, the cars bond them, and these guys all have great chemistry. But someone will always ruin the fun. And in this case, And in most cases, it's the cops. New Jersey Drive does a great job of showing us the cops were in the days before body cams and consequences. The cops in this movie are wild, man. They shoot unarmed kids, beat the hell out of kids, and throw them away with no regards for their well being. Now, I'm not saying these kids were innocent, but a lot of these kids' fates were left in the hands of the law, and the law failed them over and over again. I mean, hey, I'm going to spoil a couple things, but this movie is old, so you've probably seen it. The cops trap these kids in various situations, and due to their stupidity, they fall right in all of them. But the cops, of course, have to take it too far. They gun down a couple kids, crash right into them in their cars, and beat the living hell out of these kids. Crazy thing is, this is how it was. Cops beat up on young black males back then. Now, I can't talk about one thing without the other. I'm a man that believes every guy should have his day in court if you can give it to him, and these kids didn't get that. But they did not help themselves. If you're going to be a criminal, you got to be smart. These guys just stole car after car and acted like they were untouchable. I mean, you get some fun car chase scenes from the cops and a lot of laughs, but most of that is cut short because of their actions. Like, tell me, why on earth would you steal a cop car and take it out for a joyride? Sounds so fun in theory, but in reality, it's a quick way to get booked. I must give credit to the writer director. I think he did a great job of balancing the crimes and punishments. None of it feels too overdone, even though you think these kids would get it through their thick heads. But we know kids are hard headed, and that means hard lessons gotta be learned. And sometimes that's with blood. Peanut gets killed, and pretty much the movie just spirals downward after that, man. Cat and mouse games in this seemingly tiny city. It feels like this whole movie takes place in a 4 block radius. It adds a level of intensity to it. It feels like the walls are caving in on these boys, which they are, but us as an audience can really feel it. Each event just takes us further down the rabbit hole of crime and punishment. Just like any other kid growing up, it takes experience to know who your friends are and aren't. We've all had a friend that we were tight with, and maybe things just went sour for one reason or another. You take these lessons and grow with them, choose better friends in the future, and make better decisions. I mean, what are you supposed to do when one of your so called friends shoot at you because you had to whoop his ass for not minding his own business? Or what kind of friend steals a Lexus in broad daylight at a grocery store parking lot, leaving you to flee away in a different stolen car? We see this in most hood movies. One of the most notable is Juice. When Bishop shoots Raheem, it's pretty much downhill from there. This movie shows how a lot of men felt they had to be growing up in the hood. You got to be the hardest dude and have the baddest rep. And there's some people willing to do anything to get it. Respect and power is just as much a drug as an illicit. The cops want power, the kids want power, and they both are fighting and losing battle over it. Is it worth it to die before 18 over a rep? Over the thrill? Sounds like a raw deal to me. New Jersey Drive is a movie that has a lot of lessons. It falls into some similar categories as other East Coast hood movies. Like the aforementioned Juice, it's got that gray tone to it. It's cold, and cold always makes things feel a little bit more harsh. It's a dark cloud over everything, even in the humorous moments, because something bad is always around the corner. It's funny like that in the hood. Things can be cool one minute and not the next. The writing in this movie is one of its strongest points. The dialogue feels authentic, especially for the time and the location. New Jersey taking that New York influence with phrases like son and crab. The clothes are great. Jason wears this Devil's jersey in the movie that is classic. Made me want to cop a hockey jersey. Carhartt jackets, Timbs, beanies. It's rough out in the cold, but the clothes in this movie are pretty much back right now. I've seen people pretty much wearing all these outfits in real life today. It all adds to the attitude of this movie. It's also got a banging soundtrack. Redman, Biggie, Lords of the Underground, Outkast, Queen Latifah, Poets of Darkness. A lot of great 90s East Coast rap. A time we all are kind of missing with music. All this stuff makes the movie one of those time capsule pieces. It gives me an extreme sense of nostalgia. Now, I know I've been praising this movie, but we can't say it's perfect. I spoke highly of the dialogue, but come on, why did he write so much silliness with some of these kids? I can't be convinced that these kids would be as dumb as they actually are. The cops are literally hunting you guys down daily. And friend after friend gets killed, yet you still want to steal cars and act like a fool when you know it's all eyes on you. I personally didn't like getting in trouble for the same thing when I was younger, but these kids are more than determined to learn the hard way. For a normal person, they will take the path of least resistance. These kids put themselves in danger every chance they got. This kind of self sabotage gets harder to watch as I get older because you just want to take the lessons you've learned and shake them into some of these kids. The acting in this movie is pretty solid from these kids. Most of them are and were really unknown to this day. Donald Faison is the only one who really had a nice career, yet these kids were pretty convincing as some troubled youth in the hood. The two leads are pretty good and have some great chemistry. It was like that with hood movies. They didn't all go on to be black stars. In fact, most of them never even made it out the 90s. Thankfully, though, we got their work here to look back on and reflect. Jason's mom and the main evil cop play their roles well. Two forces trying to knock some sense into these boys by any means necessary. New Jersey Drive is a fun-ass nostalgic movie that I can watch pretty much whenever. Is it perfect? No. But it's one I can't say too much bad stuff about because of the built-in love I have for it. If you haven't seen it, I will watch it if you're into hood movies. There's better ones, but you'll remember this one for some time. I'm going to give New Jersey Drive a 7.7 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my New Jersey Drive review. Let me know if there's a film or topic you want me to review. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. Help me hit my goal of 700 subs by the end of the spring. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.